Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Ukradowski of WeAreChange.org, and as you know, I've recently became a New York City evacuee, a stateless refugee currently in an RV on the road, getting as far away as I possibly can from the hellhole known as New York City. Why? Well, it's just an unlivable place. And with the lawlessness, joblessness, and overall feeling of hopelessness for all New York City residents, are the politicians in charge doing anything to rectify those situations? Well, no. They are deciding to have an arts and crafts day, as the New York City mayor has joined the divide and conquer pimp Mac Daddy himself and former FBI informant Al Sharpton, painting, of course, Black Lives Matter right in front of Trump Tower. Now, personally, I don't care about this sign. I have no particular feelings for or against it. But when we have so many problems, record unemployment, massive wealth income inequality, the super rich becoming even richer during this time, and this is the priority of the government, you have to start asking yourself some serious questions when it starts promoting a slogan tied to, of course, a lot of individuals who are using this slogan in order to promote Marxist ideas. Now, we have to understand, just these words plainly by themselves shouldn't have an effect on anyone, but how they are being used should definitely be questioned because of the corporate establishment that uses it to push their narrative and agenda. And when it comes to Black lives and Black voices, they will only promote and push the ones that, of course, go along with what they want. And if there's a Black life lost that doesn't benefit them, or a voice that dares disagree with them, well, they're going to tell you to shut up. Since, of course, what they're promoting and pushing is more power and control for themselves. And it's not just disagreeing with this agenda that will get you in trouble, will get you fired, or have the mob after you. It's also simple acts like driving, as right now, the Vancouver Police Department is seriously investigating an alleged hate crime because a car drove over a rainbow-painted crosswalk. This is not an exaggeration. Just when you thought the Orwellian police state couldn't get more insane, we have the Canadian Vancouver Police Department, this is not a troll, looking for 2 potential suspects for driving on a crosswalk and what looks like accidentally leaving a skid mark, which, again, routinely happens on the road. It's not like this car was doing donuts and burnouts all over this thing. It simply just made a turn. And again, these are black tire marks. And that's utterly insane. In another incident in California where protesters wrote Black Lives Matter in a street, there was a couple that decided to paint over it. That couple now is facing 1 year in jail and a hate crime for, quote, vandalizing this mural. And again, we have to start asking ourselves the question, why is one act of vandalism allowed and another one severely punished? Both, of course, should be called out. And I think what's happening now could definitely be described as very Orwellian, which, even though George Orwell passed away over 70 years from now, there are a bunch of, quote, journalists now that are launching attack pieces on him, mainly because he was against the Red Army. Yes, not kidding you. Again, the ideology here is very consistent. It keeps showing up as Marxist and totalitarian, since even many leftist popular figures are ostracized, ignored, or attacked for speaking out against some of the totalitarian tendencies of this overall protest movement, criticizing cancel culture, which, just even criticizing that, has many of these establishment figures calling to cancel the people criticizing cancel culture. And of course, going after Orwell, an anti-authoritarian, and man whose books like 1984 and Animal Farm have had a tremendous impact promoting the ideas of individualism, responsibility, liberty, freedom, has done incredible, unspeakable work that has personally inspired me. I remember reading 1984 now close to 5 times myself. This is why our merchandise store has a lot of the branding and messaging from 1984, which to me are very important, but others, of course, want to cancel. And that's utterly ridiculous, and that kind of thinking, weak ideology, needs to be intellectually pushed back, because again, it's just filled with utter hypocrisies by institutions like the mainstream media that absolutely do not give a damn about the truth or doing the right thing or helping individuals. They care about power, as demonstrated here by these 2 CNN articles that are just a few weeks apart, but along with their propaganda efforts have had tremendous negative consequences on a lot of individuals. Why? Well, predominantly because of their obsession with power and winning, rather than, of course, doing the right thing. And that also perfectly describes the Jeffrey Epstein saga, which openly has a lot of people thinking that now Ghislaine Maxwell will be, quote, taken out. Again, you go on social media, it's a thought promoted almost everywhere, which should really make you consider the institutions and systems that we're all under right now. Now, with the latest information surrounding Ghislaine Maxwell, continuing the story that we covered yesterday about her potential Reddit account, so powerful that according to many it shaped and was an integral part to Reddit itself, which of course posted a lot of information about Israel and also the legalization of doing unspeakable things with children. Again, family-friendly show, we won't be mentioning exactly what this account called for, but as we noted yesterday, there are a lot of circumstantial evidence of the account that stopped posting when Ghislaine was arrested, as well as the particular posts that point the finger that this could be Ghislaine's account. The account also, by the way, stopped posting during the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, which some independent researchers online are pointing the finger to that potentially Ghislaine could be responsible for, since the mugshot drawing of the perpetrator looks somewhat similar to her. Again, a lot of this is still unconfirmed, but with the federal authorities being so untrustworthy for 3 decades now, allowing the abuse of thousands of children all under the watchful eyes of police officers, federal officials, politicians, bureaucrats, corporate heads, Hollywood celebritards, and even the Reddit former CEO, you're going to have to start doing your own investigations and research in order to get the truth from institutions that, of course, have been denying it from us while aiding and abetting the trafficking of innocent children. And now, according to many, this case is already being mishandled, with Ghislaine being sent to a jail known for its corruption and abuse of prisoners. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, which she's located in right now, has had many absolutely disgusting events highlighting its corruption and utter abuse of authority. If there ever was a place that you don't want to be in, where unspeakable things happen to inmates, it is this prison, which has led some officials to call her to be transferred to the Rikers prison, also located in New York City, which, according to many people, would be a lot safer for her and, quote, better equipped to handle high-profile inmates. Now, all of this is happening as Bill Barr, the Attorney General of this country, Bill Barr, the same man who by the way, says that Epstein definitely did off himself. Yes, this same corrupt official who has ties to Epstein in many different ways is now saying that, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell will not be allowed to die in prison before she testifies before her court proceedings, and I'll believe it when I see it, because you shouldn't believe any of these individuals. We still have a lot of information missing from the Jeffrey Epstein case that should be made public, that the world should know. We still do not know, mainly because of the Attorney General that hasn't released a lot of this information, which of course he has a conflict with. But he also said that federal authorities are definitely interested in speaking to Prince Andrew, a prince, by the way, that has been now officially spotted for the first time since Maxwell's arrest, as he drove through the gates of Windsor Castle, trying to, of course, keep a low profile, as he's been hiding out at his mother's lodge at the Queen's estate. And again, this is a man, according to U.S. authorities, who has not been speaking to the federal authorities, which he is insisting that he is. So obviously someone is not telling the truth, and Prince Andrew has a lot to worry about, since of course many people are talking about Ghislaine Maxwell cutting a deal, and she has been described as an individual that is very self-absorbed, cares only about herself, and is extremely cutthroat. So the chances of a deal being made here is high, if of course there is no malfeasance, which has been filled with this entire saga. So again, the federal authorities should be highly questioned here. There should be a lot of oversight, accountability, more than ever. There needs to be a lot of public attention, a lot of voices on this particular case, since this is the story of the decade that implicates all the powerful people in our modern society, leaving, of course, many powerful people very nervous, since, of course, Jeffrey Epstein had a surveillance operation run on all of his properties that were attended by a lot of powerful luminaries, including Alan Dershowitz, which, according to the New York Post, I don't know why they're doing this, but they're reporting that this very older man hasn't been seen at his favorite nude beach in months. Anyway, tried to not get a visual picture there. It's important to also note here that Alan Dershowitz is on the offensive. He also wrote an essay, according to the Deadline, that is defending Jeffrey Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell. He's still insisting on his innocence. This, as just days ago, a U.S. judge ruled that Epstein's victim, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, needs to destroy any evidence against Ghislaine Maxwell, potentially explosive information that was procured during, of course, legal proceedings that involved Dershowitz. Yes, Manhattan federal judge Loretta Prescott. She's also the judge that gave Jeremy Hammond the maximum sentence for his political hacking activism, was the one that ruled that Giuffre's lawyer must destroy all evidence, including sealed records from a since-settled suit against Maxwell, which was all ordered to be destroyed and denied on the public record. So yeah, with all of that happening, will there be any justice for all the victims? Will Ghislaine cut a deal? Will she be in jail? Well, we're going to be following this story very closely and, of course, reporting it to you every single day here on Independent Media. But leaving the question to you, what do you think will happen with Ghislaine Maxwell herself? Where will this story go? I'm very curious to hear your answers, theories, and perspectives on this very important case, which hopefully we still have a voice about, since, of course, a lot of people are getting deleted and censored for speaking out against the establishment. So keep your fingers crossed. Seriously, thank you so much for supporting us. Without you guys financially backing us, we would not be here, whether it's a one-time donation, a $5 a month donation, cryptocurrencies, physical mail, or even ways to support us without spending a dime. Your support is more crucial and important than ever. Thank you so much for donating and being a part of this independent media organization, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, and this is why. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.